What's going on, guys? It is Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana, and co-host of the Rules of Villainy podcast. And this is another edition of the local meta report here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I bring you the latest and greatest in Disney Lorcana winning decks throughout our week to weeks at our locals. And this week I got four unique decks for you. It is week 2 of Winter Spell. I'm so happy to have 4 unique decks, one returning deck from last week, which is really, really exciting. And I'm really excited to get into them. So let's just jump right in. All right, and our first deck comes to you by the way of Justin from Team Snuggly Duckling, all the way out at the Collector Store on Tuesday night, going 3-0 on everybody's favorite Emerald Amber dogs. And the dogs are barking. The dogs are out. The dogs won a CCQ today. Shout out to Sailor from Team Maelstrom, getting it done in a very different version. Not entirely different, but different enough that it doesn't include the Chromacon. It has the Mickey Amber champion in it, but we're not talking about Sailor's deck tonight. We're talking about Justin's. There are so many different variations of dogs out there, and they're all finding their way to the winner's circle. Justin on Tuesday night was running a more traditional one. Here in set 11, including the new Nani, I think every Amber deck has this Nani in it currently because she comes out and pretty much guarantees you, especially in this deck, a free 2-drop into your hand, because Justin here is running 40 2-drops. 2/3 of his deck are returned to his hand from Nani, or found by Nani and returned to his hand and probably played, because everything in this deck comes out so quickly, so aggressively, so fast, and it's just inviting you to deal with me before I deal with you through the means of Della's Moon Lullaby and Under the Sea and the Emerald Chromacon. Anytime anything is banished on the opponent's turn, Justin, or the player playing this deck, would get the opportunity to bounce something back to most of the time the opponent's hands, so they lose tempo and have no challenging power, so they can safely quest away with all of the cards that they're playing. They got the daisies for early aggro. They got the Lilo coming back from the discard. Mowgli and Ursula in here to snipe away, hopefully, some kind of hard removal or some action from the opponent's hand to prevent, in the mirror match, for example, the Under the Sea. That is the most dangerous card in this deck. Mowgli also hits the Emerald Chromacon in that mirror match, too, so I really like his inclusion, being a 4 of over the 2 in Ursula. And with the Chromacon, there is the added benefit of bouncing your own Go-Go, so if somebody is foolish enough to leave enough damage on their side, Justin could, and I keep saying that we're talking about Justin, but the player could endlessly bounce that Go-Go over and over again with that Chromacon and sneak some more lore off of that damage. So yeah, really, really solid deck. Justin's a really solid player. No surprise that he's taken this version of dogs to 3-0, and curious to see if he evolves the deck along with Sailor and the other versions that we've seen over the past weekend. So congratulations to Justin. I'm sure we'll see you on here again throughout the rest of the meta. All right, our second deck of the week comes to you by way of Nick from Lorcana Collections. 3-0 at Bodach's games this past week. He was actually 6-0, 2-0 on the night, every single one of his matches, and he did it with Sapphire Steel Detectives. Straight up, this is RMB's list with a few changes. He took out a Mickey, he took out a Pluto, and he took out the 2 Ink Runners. He added a Francine, Donald Duck Detective, and 2 Darkwing Warriors. This is, in fact, a Darkwing Duck Detectives deck. I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw this trending on Dreamborn earlier in the week, I thought it was just a fun, like, I didn't really look into it. It was RMB, who I know is just an esteemed player, an incredible player, as is Nick. And I was like, well, it's a fun detectives Darkwing Duck build that people are really going to enjoy. But it's actually not a meme deck. It's really, really good, as Nick demonstrated here with his 6-0 in good matchups too. He played Andy on the Monstro combo. He played his daughter Lily on Amber Steel Song, and he played an Amber Steel aggro and found a way to the finish line 2-0 on all 3 of those. Darkwing Duck is all over this deck, and it's incredible. A lot of people weren't high on the Darkwing Duck cards when they were revealed, but it turns out they found their place here in Sapphire Steel and did so with immeasurable success. The 1-drop Darkwing Duck 2/2 is a very fair card. The Drake Mallard at 2 is a 4/1 with Ward. Almost guarantees you a single lore when he can't be targeted there. You got the ramp with Mickey. You got the ramp with Donald, but the one of there. But the rest of the Darkwing Ducks, he's got the Dark Warrior. That was an addition to his. He added both of those as a 4/5 quest for 2, Challenger 2. And during your turn, whenever an item is banished, this character gains resist +1. He can banish items when he has the Steel Champion Pluto on board. During your turn, whenever one of your other Steel characters banishes another character, gain 2 lore. And whenever you play another Steel character while Pluto was out, you may banish a chosen item. So he's getting a little bit of extra synergy on that Darkwing Duck Dark Warrior. We got, of course, Nick and Judy shift lines there. I don't think he's shifting the Judy. Oh, he does have the 4-cost Scry Judy that lets you look for detectives when you play her. She's a 4-cost 3/3. But then the Darkwing Duck 7-cost detective. I was almost said Floodborn. He's not a Floodborn, but he does have the shift because he's a superhero. He has take that only or during your turn. Whenever an item is banished, you may pay 1 to deal 2 damage to a chosen character, and this character can challenge ready villain characters. And you might think to yourself, wow, well, I don't think my opponent's going to be playing a whole lot of villain characters. Where is the synergy in that card? How good can he be? Well, there are 2 more Darkwing Duck cards in this deck, but the one relevant to that card is the Thunderquack. It is a 3-cost inkable item where all opposing characters gain the villain classification. So this Darkwing Duck comes out, is shiftable, so he comes out even earlier and can swing into ready villain characters. So that is a great combo there, and I'd love to see that in action. I mean, I'm sure Nick just dominated with that combo right there. And also, if you want to use this Thunderquack, you can exert it. If a character was banished in a challenge this turn, gain 1 lore. So there's a lot of challenging. There's a lot of lore gain. I really like this deck. I can't believe I just kind of looked over it. I didn't look into it. I saw it was a Darkwing Duck deck, top of Dreamborn. A lot of people were probably interested in a new franchise. Actually very good, and I shouldn't have ever doubted R&B. I'll never do that again. What was I thinking? The one last Darkwing Duck card is the Terror That Flaps in the Night. It's a 2-cost inkable action. Deal 2 damage to chosen opposing character. If you have a character named Darkwing Duck in play, deal 3 instead. We have, in this particular instance, we have 6, 10, 14 Darkwing Ducks in this deck. So a lot of times you're probably going to be doing the full 3 damage when playing the Terror That Flaps in the Night. So very, very cool. Congratulations to Nick. Shout out to Lorcana Collections. Him and Lily are incredible. Check out their content in the description below. And yeah, we will move on to the next one. All right, our third deck of the week is a returning deck from last week. It is Brandon out at Manticore Game Shop going 3-0 on Rockstar Phil. That is an Amber Steel aggro deck. And as we talked about last week, it looked exciting enough for me to put it together and try it out. And it is as exciting as it looks. My most ridiculous thing that I did was on turn 2, drop a Lilo and 3 Pudges and just say, deal with this in the next couple turns, or this is game. Already showing 5 lore on board on turn 2, and they don't have anything established. Maybe I think it was a Tipo. It's a week has passed, and a lot of Disney Lorcana has happened since then. But it moves very, very fast. Brandon would be the first to tell you got to be careful with those pudges, though. Like in that specific example, you might need that for ink later on the very next turn. Even if you're dropping the rest of your hand on all these pudges, you might put yourself in danger, but you got to consider the matchup. You don't need more than maybe 3 ink. He'll also tell you all of this is in the description in his Dreamborn link. If you click that below, he has a detailed explanation as to why he chose all these cards and fun play lines to consider when trying out this deck. But because of how low it is to the ground and the shiftability of the Lilo and the Stitch at the top end being 6 costs, but you can bring them in for 4 each on a shift. You don't really need to ink a whole lot more than that. You do have some hand filter with Mulan. You have hand replenishment with Doc. And from there, you're just flooding the board, hopefully with a Rockstar Stitch coming down and bringing out a bunch of these 1-cost, 1s and 2-cost characters exerted to draw. So very, very cool deck when it works. It does have a tendency in my very, very limited experience of trying it out to just gas out very early. But I also didn't have the experience and knowledge of the deck that Brandon did. So maybe I most certainly was not playing it to the best of its potential, but very, very exciting. And any chance I can get to play probably my favorite card of this set, if by art alone, the Lilo bundled up is worth it to me. So congratulations to Brandon on his 3-0 2 weeks in a row with this deck. And finally, our last deck of the week comes to you by way of Jesse at the Collector Stores Friday Night League Amethyst Steel, of course, because there has to be one here in St. Louis. Jesse is the guy this week, bringing it to you with 3 new cards from Winterspell. He threw in a 1 of Christopher Robin, 1/3 Quest for 2 with the underdog ability, so he can play this on 1 if he is on the draw and he has it in his hand. It is an early aggressive card that has to be dealt with. Otherwise, he's just getting lore. I don't think Amethyst Steel has ever had a 2-quester on 1 before, and it really hasn't needed it. It's always been consistent without it because it finds a lot of just gaining tempo and control throughout the middle of the game and all the draw that it brings as well. We do have the 3-cost Genie. Magical Researcher is a 3/4 boost 1, quest for 1, and this character gets +1 lore for every card underneath it. So the more you're boosting this card, the more he's questing for, and it synergizes with the 1-drop Olaf, who I think is the only bounce in this deck. Whenever Olaf leaves play, you can bounce a character yours back to your hand. So if you've boosted this cat, the Cheshire Cat, of course, or the Genie multiple times, a little bit of a draw package there for you as well. All of the draw, though, comes from the Dumbo package, the Genie, the Doc, the Demona. There's so much draw here, as well as the last card. This is not a draw card, but the last card from Winterspell is Sven, the 4-cost unequal 2/3 with Rush, Challenger 3, and Evasive, which is ironically a hard answer to the 5-cost Elsa, who is thematically the quote-unquote antagonist of the set. But I just found that humorous there, especially because Elsa's been such a prolific card in the meta for the last several sets, and arguably by some that should be banned. The fact that Sven just comes out and says, "All right, well, we'll take care of you," without even being banished himself is pretty funny. But yeah, Jesse got this done with this deck. It looks good. Madam Mim gives everything Challenger. Calhoun is always a threat. Only 2 of. She used to be a 4 of, I think, in these decks, but I see a lot of them having fewer and fewer of her as we move forward in the meta. But yeah, really strong deck, really strong player. Congratulations to Jesse on his 3-0 on the night. That's going to do it. That's going to wrap up this week's Meta Report, week 2 of the Winterspell Meta here in St. Louis, Missouri. Really excited to see how things are developing. 4 unique decks here means I think the meta is somewhat healthy, although we are seeing the resurgence of dogs in the last 2 weeks of the big championships, and just Justin here this week finding success with it as well. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of them. But shout out to everybody. Thank you for sharing your decks. You sharing them allows me to make this kind of content and celebrate your success. And shout out to stores for hosting this for us each and every week. And that's really, really just great. Love to be here doing that for all of us in this community. So the viewers, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content. Each and every week we have this report. We have Deck Test Tuesdays where Andy and Kirsten are taking all of the meta decks that they can think of, or they want to play that night, testing them out, finding out new play lines, taking your suggestions and checking those out as well, and finding new play lines and having fun. Always a great stream when I can tune in and check that out. Then of course we have the podcast proper every Friday. Hope that you're enjoying that. We're having so much fun doing that, and hopefully we'll have some more live streams for you very, very soon. But yeah, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I think I've said that already. It is late. I won't keep you any later. Thank you so much for watching this week. We will see you next time.